Hello, I'm Soycat and welcome back to the third channel finance video. Today I wanted to talk about something that you probably know if you're interested in money or finances, because the one expense you can't avoid is taxes. You can minimize, you can lower every other expense, but if there's two things in life you can't avoid, it's death and taxes. And one of the interesting things about taxes is people often talk about them as like this duty, this thing that like, oh yeah, we would really love to see more of. But realistically, when people talk about, like taxes, they don't mean will I have to pay more tax, they mean will other people. And this is something that's always been like a theoretical. But recently I found out something fascinating. You can actually go on the UK government page if you really want to. They have a nice little PDF from the Debt Management Office, and even the US has a Treasury Direct website where you can learn exactly how much people have been contributing to those services voluntarily. In other words, you can find out how much tax people have been paying voluntarily in addition to the tax they already need to owe. We've always had, like the theory that people always say is like, oh yeah, taxes are this like greatly voluntary thing, but how many people would pay more tax than they want to? How much of that is actually voluntary? And it's actually kind of depressing to dive into on that level. But first, let's talk about why this is a conversation, because did you know that the, the government spending increases over time always? This is a kind of a fact of government. It needs to grow. That's one of its purposes of being. And as a result, when, so let's say there's a big scandal where a lot of money is being spent, let's say 300 billion in a single financial year. Let's say that you're spending a lot of money. The question is, how are you going to raise the money, and how, which in the end, the answer is always going to be some form of tax. There's a lot of different ways that tax can be. Again, you can use debt as a sort of way, or you can use inflation. There's a lot of different ways you can do that, but the money is paid by people, and people don't really like paying taxes. You might think that no, people love paying taxes, people want to pay more taxes, but usually when people talk about raising taxes, they mean on other people. And again, I want to make this video not too political, but it's kind of interesting to me that there's always this concept of like, oh yeah, millionaires and billionaires want to pay more tax. That's what they want. Why is the government not asking them to pay more? But if you actually dive into it, again, it's fascinating that the difference, even again, there are millions of millionaires, and if you take the few who actually do say they would like to see more taxes, even their statements are like, oh yeah, mega rich people should pay their fair share. Talking about like other rich people, and that's like, of course that makes sense. He wants a higher rate and stuff. But if you read about for instance, here is John Caldwell, who says, oh yeah, I think that the super rich have a moral duty to pay what they rightfully own. It always sounds to me like when people say that, they're the ones they're actually paying their fair share. They're paying their taxes as they are owed, which in some cases are up to 50%, right? And then they feel like a lot of other people aren't. And indeed, even some of the people on this list, if you look at again, as much as I like Richard Branson as a person, I feel like he makes some good businesses. He's a guy who's like, I suspect there should be higher taxes for the wealthy around the world, and I don't think they'd object to that. That is a direct quote you can read right here on this very page, but also he's domiciled in a place where he doesn't pay taxes. He does not contribute to the UK, where his money is mostly weighed, or really, to many other major tax systems around the world via income tax. He is skipping on one of the largest, in fact, the very largest tax that exists in that case. And again, nothing against the person himself, but you know what? That seems a little bit like it's saying, yeah, those wealthy people that aren't me with my £3.2 billion worth, they should be the ones paying it. And it's, again, you'll see this if you look into almost every story. People just want everyone to be taxed equally and fairly, right? People want a fair tax, not necessarily higher taxes, fair taxes, but if people do want higher taxes, they could prove that by giving the government some money. So here is the UK government Commissioners for the Reduction of National Debt. It's a fun PDF you can find on their website. I'm looking forward to the one for next year. But you can actually read through this and you can find out that people not only give money to the government, because that's a thing that you can do. As you can see, the donations and bequests account had £11,000 of donations and bequests. So that many people figured, yeah, we're going to give the government money. In addition to our taxes, it's going to go to the government and we're going to pay it down. Only 11,000, which, it sounds like a lot. 11,000 is more money than I have sitting around in cash right now, I hope. But I don't hope. I hope the opposite. But actually, no, you should have assets right now. Fun fact. But anyway, so that's more money than I have lying around in cash right now, and then less than £1,000 in dividends, and then the cash balance of the account that's been held there for some while is 193,000. So overall that time, 193,000 was given. Plus, it's also worth mentioning the stocks and dividends, and there's a lot of other things. But that means that only of the hundreds of millions, it's about in dollars, just under $1 trillion US dollars that are paid. Of the roughly $1 trillion US dollars that are paid to the UK government, non-voluntarily, because it is a tax. It's not optional, I assure you that much. Only about $15,000 are made additionally on top of that. That is an unthinkably low percentage of people who do this, and admittedly, maybe they just don't know about it so much, but something that is more widely known is in America, you can actually just to gift the Treasury some money, and as a result, over there, these are fascinating things to me that this is so high. In the UK, we give $15,000 a year to the Treasury. In America, last year, it was $5 million that was given from people in addition to their taxes to the government. That is crazy. The only, again, just to clarify, to read it out to you here, the Borough Fiscal Service may accept gifts donated to the United States government to reduce debt held by the public, because every country has debt. Acting for the Secretary of the Treasury, Fiscal Service may accept a gift of money, an outstanding obligation, basically government debt, but then not cashing it in, or other intangible personal property. And all of those things combined totaled in 2019 to $4.9 million. In February, someone gave $2.8 million. Why? I'm assuming like they died and they had their like estate go to the US government. That's the only thing I can think of. It's crazy that someone gave in a single month more given than, but like $2.8 million. It's crazy actually to me. But if you actually look at 2020, they have every month so far in there. And interestingly enough, before the pandemic, like 36,000, 23,000, 29,000. After the pandemic hit, people are willingly giving more taxes to the US government. So it's, again, as you all know, right now people are increasing their savings rate, and some of those people are paying higher taxes. You could assume that there is a tiny number of people, I mean, again, $1 million out of the grand scheme of the dozens of trillions that are spent by America, it's less than 1 in a million, but still, there is like there's a want for about a 0.0001% increase in the taxes that people are paying. Again, very much more targeted. But whereas in the UK, it's more like 0.000001. People do want taxes to be marginally higher, but again, very few individuals. In reality, based on how 2019 figures are so distorted by likely one person, you could only assume. Maybe there was just a big drive for that in that day. But like, you can assume it's very few individuals who want to pay down the government. But and then you might say, well, people are just selfish, and then you might use a mean word, right? People are just selfish human beings, and that's why we need to tax them, right? And I actually, this is an argument I kind of like feel and see. Again, this is an interesting thing that you might say like, yeah, we should have higher taxes. And if you're someone who's watching this video, because this third channel finance series is hopefully for those of you who want to earn well, who one day will go on to do something like that. That's something I want to help. I'm a cheerleader for you. I'm not one of those people who'd be like, you don't want to be like these people. Oh, imagine contributing. Oh wait, J.K. Rowling's not popular these days, but like she literally, there's no like exploitation of someone. She just made books that people like, and then she did other things after that. Like Jay-Z, he made music that people like. I think Jay-Z's a music artist. Pretty sure. Don't quote me on that. But like, you know, they did some things that the world preferred to them not. They did things to the tune of $1 billion even. Even like phones for you, you know, the Mr. John Caldwell, you know what? He gave some people some cheaper phones. It's not a noble thing, but, you know, it saved a lot of people a lot of money. These people did some cool things, right? And even if you don't agree with that, even if you're like, nah, I don't like the things that they did, I don't agree that they should have $1 billion, because $1 billion is such a huge number. The thing I wanted to mention in this video is, like, if you do intend to do well, don't think that the only thing you can do well to support the world is giving money to the government or, you know, paying your taxes. Because indeed, if you actually look, even though the UK only gave 11,000 to the government, that's presumably because we assume the government is not the most efficient way to help people. Because, I mean, again, I'm not going to throw my own thing in here, but presumably it's not. We all know how governments be, right? But if you actually look at this, 60% of people in the UK donated to charity in the last year. 60% of people gave, like, again, we can assume it's like 0.0 something percent of the UK gave extra money to the government, but 60%, 6 in 10, 3 in 5 people gave money to a charitable cause. People gave money they did not have to give. There is no obligation to give to charity in the UK. The tax benefits are not, like, more worthwhile than not giving to charity, but 60% of people did it. And not only that, but the average monthly donation was £44. There's a lot of very interesting things in here, like, did you know women are more likely to give to animal charities than men, as well as hospitals, something in fashion maybe. You know, that's interesting that those are the things that, like, Those also vary how your political opinions go. Also, online giving's been going up a lot. Also, people who, donations of over $1 million plus, so millionaires, you have to, by definition, be a millionaire to give more than $1 million to charity. 310 people gave over $1 million to charity. Not a single person, besides that one person who died in America in 2019, across, again, a 360 million population did that. But 310 people in just the UK's 60 million gave £1 million to charity, although that was a decrease, although the total from them was actually higher at 1.83 billion. People are willing to pay more money for things that they like. It's just that they don't feel that this machine, this growth, is the way to do so. And I feel like that's something that always gets lost in the nuance of this argument. People always argue higher taxes, lower taxes, fair taxes, less fair taxes. And, probably should be fair taxes, right? Probably should work out a fair way to make that happen. There are some things that the government does that are probably essential, maybe. We could have debates about that. But people don't realize that people do want large nations from large nations from corporations are pretty large. Look at all the foundations got some money. Higher education, 656 million people. Million pounds. Better than people. A pound is better than a person. Give me a pound, not yourself, I can only have £1, one person legally married to me, but I can legally marry £1 million. I don't know what I'm going with this video. My point of this video is just the important people always have these huge, giant political debates over your head, but if you actually look at the stats themselves, it doesn't lie. People people do not trust the government to do good to the world. And indeed, again, if you throw money, we're just paying for things that we bought many years ago and that probably weren't so effective. Again, if there's $1 trillion a year in the UK being spent, how many of those can you directly point to in your life? It's probably not a huge number, right? If there's dozens of trillions in the United States, how many of those are directly improving your life versus when you donate to a charity for animals or hospitals or physical, there are things that can actually affect the things that you want. You can actually target where your money goes in a charity. And that's why my reminder here is if you ever do well, one of the reasons to do well is so you can give money to charity. Or if you really want, be the guy who's I want to give more money to the government. And that's cool too. You can do both these things. This man right here and this vague globe icon, they can both have your money. And, you can make the world a better place by going out and earning some stuff. Whereas most people think the best way to go help the world is to make other people do it. But we have a non-finite number of resources and growth in the world that we know it right now. Go do your stuff. Also, COVID-19, how does that affect things? Ooh, exciting. Think globally, act locally, explore uncommon gifts. Fun fact, give without restriction. That's nice. I'm going to go do money to charity after this. And by charity, I mean probably Wikipedia. It's I think knowledge is important. And if you disagree with me, you can give your money elsewhere. But you know what? I'm glad you're not forcing me to give money to charity. That's nice of you. Okay, third channel. Gonna irritate someone with this because I guess it was vaguely political in there somewhere. But taxes is something I'm passionate about. I like finances, and if you want to see more finance videos, hit me up down below. Goodbye.